Hello, and welcome to Dual Credit U.S. History B, Unit 4. And I have set you up for this project a lot, hopefully, and this will also lead to another project at the beginning of Unit 5, which is a document-based question. But what I want you to do is I want you to sign on to Mission US. Here, I'll show it to you. And make sure that you sign on. If you don't have a sign on, you can sign on. It's super easy. And then I want you to go down to No Turning Back, okay? And No Turning Back is a very, very cool game that I want you to play. And I have played it, and I've also been able to go through the part by part guide by an African American historian as well. And she gives kind of highlights about each of the parts, and that's super cool. So you might want to look at that. There's also a video overview of No Turning Back. This I think is also really interesting, and it talks about the names that they use in this game, which I mean it's a thing for sure, okay? And they use African and colored. And this was during the era of Alexander Hamilton, John Jay, Emancipation era. People were called themselves colored, and that's what they referred to themselves as. And so that was definitely what they were called then. The word Negro means dark, black or dark, and that was used by W.E.B. Du Bois, Booker T. Washington. I listened to an audiobook by W.E.B. Du Bois that was completely fascinating, and so they used colored and Negro, sometimes interchangeably. And so that was just a thing that they did. By 1950, while Negro was dominant term by which Black Americans identified themselves, it was not without tension. In addition to its origins in the Spanish colonial caste system, the word had an even more complicated history, because the derivative racial epithet came into fashion during the 1800s, and so it became kind of a faux pas to use Negro. And then during the start of the African American people, they used Black and African American, and that was used through the 60s and 70s, and that was an okay term for those times, okay? So it's just really interesting to look through this and to see kind of how the different terminology has come. And this game was put together by Pamela Walker, and she is a PhD in African American Studies and Women's History from Rutgers. Okay, so really, really interesting to see how that worked. And she also talks about honoring the families and the civil rights and the Mississippi Delta. And she talks about how I know Mississippi, the Delta specifically, very well. Every Easter, every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, and long weekends in between during my childhood was spent in that area. And so here are some pictures of her in that area. And so this is done with a lot of things that happened in her life, and things that she knows that happened as well. Okay. And then here are a bunch of sources that she gives as well. And the people, this is also very interesting as well. It talks about the people who played the voices of these people, and the things that they had to give to the whole thing. So that's super interesting, and Deja Denise Green was Verna, okay, and she gave the voice of Verna. And Jonathan Lee Iverson was the voice of Reverend Curtis Starling and Medgar Evers. And DeKayla Day is the voice of Addie Starling. Okay, so these are real people, guys. And what I'm really trying to tell you is that this is a real a real cast, and they really felt these feelings, and it wasn't that long ago, okay? And they they talked about how their family had these feelings, and their family played these roles, and they kind of felt the roles of their family members through playing these roles. Okay, so as you play this game, I want you to realize that it really wasn't that long ago. All right. And it was put together, this game was put together with a lot of care, and with a lot of research, and a lot of things that made it very realistic. Okay, so it goes through some Jim Crow laws. It goes through a lot of things that you will see, and that were part of our history during that time. Okay, and are still part of our history to this day. So, anyway, I hope that you enjoy this game, and I'm excited to hear how you feel about it. Thanks so much. Bye.